Right now, a pretty significant low pressure system is moving to the Midwest. That's bringing a large area of rain showers and thunder showers as a major severe weather outbreak is expected to occur as a result of this trough that's going to continue to move eastward and definitely raise the possibility of flash flooding, damaging winds, large hail, as well as tornadoes in a large portion of the Midwest. Taking a look at the latest depiction of the GFS model, we do see that there's a pretty large area of scattered thunder showers extending through the northern Midwest as far south and as far to the south as the southeast, where we do see that the millibar pressure of this storm system is hovering around 1,000 to 999 millibars. So it is relatively powerful, at least powerful enough to bring the convective energy to bring it to levels that are high enough to support for significant and severe thunderstorms to develop. And continuing to move forward with the forecast, we're going to see that instability continue to increase by tomorrow. And we do see that on the western side of this trough, we do see that there's plenty of snow, which shows that there's a decent amount of cold air just behind this low pressure system that will certainly create the possibility of instability to develop by tomorrow. And we do have a big ridge located just to the northeast of this trough that's going to definitely raise the instability and the convective energy and the lift in the midsection of the country for a significant severe weather outbreak to occur. Now, moving forward with the forecast, we see that the thunderstorms definitely do enlarge by the time we approach the late Thursday time frame, and this extends into the southeast as well. And we do see that the storm's pressure definitely drops, which shows that this storm is strengthening. There's enough instability to support for a large area of thunder shower activity, and it is capable enough of bringing an enhanced risk of severe weather as well as an enhanced risk of tornadoes. If we were to take a look at how the wind shear looks between the lower levels and the upper levels of the atmosphere, we do see that there's quite a big difference when it comes to the wind direction with height, where we do see that along the surface the winds are primarily coming from the east, but if we were to go further upwards in the atmosphere, the winds shift to more of a southerly to even a southwesterly direction in the extreme higher levels of the atmosphere. And when we see wind shear like this along with a strong updraft and just a lot of convective energy in general, that certainly raises a risk of tornadoes in this area where the wind shear is strong and where we are seeing just enough convective energy to support for mesoscale convection in the Midwest for a major tornado outbreak to occur. Now, moving forward beyond the Friday time frame, so if we were to continue to move forward, we do see that the instability will eventually reduce as it seems like the low pressure will weaken and there won't be as much cold air right behind this trough as we approach the Saturday time frame. So that's definitely good news that the worst of the severe weather mainly should be for tomorrow for much of the Midwest rather than extending into Friday and into Saturday. But we do see that the flood threat will still be there for a large area of Texas where there is a high possibility of flash flooding, because we do see that in the early Saturday time frame, we do see plenty of thunder showers develop, and they just linger over the same area for quite some time, pretty much extending throughout the day on Saturday. And this is a major concern because the steering flow will be very weak right around Texas, which means that the thunderstorm activity will remain around Texas for quite some time, and that will lead to a high possibility of flash flooding. And we could even see this rain extend into the southeast by the Saturday time frame, but it won't be to the same magnitude as what Texas will experience. But it's at least something to be aware of as we approach a weekend, that we're going to see the rain showers and the scattered thunder shower activity move towards the southeast as well. It won't necessarily be severe, but watch out for that possibility of flash flooding, because we're approaching that time of year where the atmosphere and the jet stream winds really slow down, which should definitely increases the likelihood of flash flooding in any given area. So make sure to pay close attention to this. Now, in terms of how severe this this outbreak will be. I will say that it's most likely going to be a major severe weather outbreak for portions of Kansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma, where there is a high risk of damaging winds and large hail, and also tornadoes is certainly at a higher risk thanks to what I just showed you, which was the wind shear that's expected to build in this area. So and it's pretty certain at this point that this will be a very significant, one of the more significant severe weather outbreaks. So make sure to keep that in mind if you're in the midsection of the country. And in terms of what the European model is stating, it's stating a very similar forecast. Let me show you guys the European model's forecast right now. The European model is showing a very similar forecast where we do see a large area of thunderstorms develop between Kansas, Nebraska, as there's going to be plenty of instability to support for severe thunderstorms in this area of the country. And we could even see those thunderstorms, like I said, move into the southeast, but very similar in terms of strength. However, the key difference is that the GFS model is expecting a little bit more instability than the European model. So in the GFS model scenario, the severe weather outbreak is definitely more significant, but they're still bringing at least at the very minimum a moderate risk of severe weather in the midsection of the country. So you want to be aware of that scenario in the Midwest, because you could be in for potentially a large area of tornadoes in a large portion of the midsection of the country. Let me show you guys the 500 millibar height anomaly to really show you guys what I'm talking about when it comes to the differences between the computer models when it comes to the amount of instability. We do see that by the Thursday time frame, by the late time on Thursday, the center of circulation of this trough will be located right over Colorado, and we do see a decent amount of cold air surrounding this trough, and it's interacting with this very warm air mass just to the east of this trough, where we do see a very powerful ridge that's bringing a strong southerly flow that's definitely enhancing the instability in the midsection of the country. However, when we compare this to the GFS model's scenario when it comes to the height anomaly as well as the sheer amount of instability, we do see a pretty big difference, which shows that the GFS model wants to bring a more significant severe weather outbreak. Let me show you guys that right now. So this is a GFS model's forecast in approximately the same time period, and we do see that there is a pretty, I wouldn't say significant difference, but noticeable difference when it comes to the amount of instability we see in the midsection of the country, because we see that the trough, this is approximately at the same location at which the European model is bringing this trough towards. So they're both extremely similar when it comes to trajectory, but when it comes to the amount of cold air surrounding this trough, the GFS model is expecting noticeable amount of more of cold air than what the European model is stating. So we do see that the GFS model does want to bring a more significant severe weather outbreak as a result of this, and we do see that this ridge will steer this trough to the north, but eventually this trough will sort of fizzle out in the midst of entering the ridge. So we should see the severe weather threat subside thanks to the cold air that's expected to diminish as this trough continues to head further northeastward. The convective available potential energy levels will be quite high as well. Taking a look at the forecast when it comes to the amount of convective available potential energy, there will be by the afternoon time frame, and we do see that the energy levels will be quite high right around Texas, and of course much of the severe weather will occur just to the north of this energy. So in Kansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma, you aren't out of the woods just because you're not in this blob of high convective available potential energy levels, because the severe weather will occur well to the north of where this energy is occurring. So you want to pay close attention to that throughout a large portion of Kansas as well as Nebraska. And moving forward, we do see that even into Friday, the energy levels are still very high at this point, and it seems like we're going to see a very similar severe weather outbreak on the towards the Friday time frame as well. And I wouldn't say it's until Friday evening where we are eventually going to see the severe weather outbreak subside as energy levels continue to subside once the trough really begins to lose a lot of its instability and cold air air behind it, but you want to still watch out for that possibility of flash flooding throughout the southeast as well as portions of the Midwest, even if the severe weather outbreak will subside by the time we approach the weekend. So here's the Storm Prediction Center's outlook when it comes to severe weather for Thursday, May 11th. And we do see that there's an enhanced risk of severe weather throughout the northern portion of Oklahoma as well as Kansas. And we do have a slight risk extending a little bit further northward into Nebraska and South Dakota as well, and a marginal risk just outside of it. But if you're anywhere in the yellows or in the enhanced risk zone, you need to pay very close attention because there is definitely a higher risk of severe weather. I wouldn't worry too much if you're in the marginal zone. Maybe there could be that isolated severe thunderstorm that develops, but if you're in the yellows, if you're in the slight to enhanced risk, that's where you need to definitely be more aware of the possibility of severe thunderstorms as well as tornadoes, especially if you're in the enhanced risk, because there certainly is that possibility tomorrow on Thursday, where we do see that Oklahoma and Kansas has the risk of experiencing a tornado for Thursday. And now moving on into Friday, we do see that the severe weather risk will subside just a little bit, but we could potentially see the area of severe weather expand once we get closer to the Friday timeframe, May 12th, where the computer models will gain a little bit more confidence regarding the amount of severe weather you should expect, because still, even though we're only 2 days out, there's still time for the computer models to iron out the forecast when it comes to the amount of instability there will be on Friday. So if there is that possibility, the instability will increase by that time frame. We should see the severe weather risk definitely enhance in not only in the area where you're under the slight risk, but even in the marginal risk area, you could maybe upgrade to a slight risk of severe weather. So make sure to at least be aware of this headed into Friday as well. And here's the rainfall forecast over the next 5 days. And we do see that a large area of Texas could easily experience 5 to 8 inches of rain over the next 5 days, which will certainly enhance the risk of flooding. And I will say that there is definitely an enhanced risk of flash flooding over the next 3 days, as it's likely that the rain will just any sort of rain that develops in Texas will likely be in the form of thunderstorms, and it's likely that those thunderstorms will move at a very slow pace thanks to the very weak steering flow we're seeing right over Texas right now. So there is definitely a higher risk of flash flooding, and in some of these areas it should help mitigate the drought that's been occurring, which has been severe in some cases in the midsection of the country. This should definitely help mitigate the effects of the drought you guys are experiencing, but this is likely a little bit too much rain, as you're definitely more likely with the rainfall moving this slow for flash flooding to occur, as well as just regular long-term river flooding thanks to the amount of cumulative rainfall we're going to see right over Texas. So here's the Futurecast radar to show you guys when you should expect the worst of the severe weather. So if we were to continue to move forward with this forecast, so you're going to see that we're going to see the thunderstorms develop as early as Thursday morning, but they will subside just a little bit before reforming again by the Thursday afternoon time frame. Of course, once the shortwave radiation hits and gets absorbed by the surface, that's when the instability should definitely increase by the time we approach the Thursday afternoon to Thursday evening time frame. So make sure to pay close attention to this. And I'll say the worst of the severe weather should occur likely in the mid-afternoon to early evening time frame, where in Kansas and Oklahoma, this is where the worst of the severe weather will occur, associated with the squall line that you see right here, because it's going to be very close to the cool conditions that are just to the west of this trough. So moving forward beyond the Thursday time frame, we will see thunderstorms a little bit more scattered. The instability will reduce, so we're less likely to see severe weather, but there is that possibility. And watch out for scattered thunder showers for tomorrow. For Friday, once this low pressure system continues ahead further eastward. So make sure to keep that in mind. And here's my forecast when it comes to the major severe weather and flood threat. So if you're in the reds, this includes Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. This is where you should expect a major severe weather outbreak as well as a tornado outbreak, as there will be enough instability for enough lift in the atmosphere for severe thunderstorms to develop. So make sure to pay close attention to that. And then in the greens you see right here, especially towards Texas, is where you should experience the worst of the flood threat, which should be at its worst, I'll say, a little bit later towards the Friday timeframe and Saturday timeframe. That's when the worst of the flash flooding should occur. So make sure to stay safe, and remember, if you see a body of water, turn around, don't drown, because typically the body of water is a lot deeper than what you'd expect. So just don't take the risk, and make sure to stay prepared when it comes to a flood event. But that's it for now, guys, and thank you guys for watching.